Okay, so we're going to get things underway here inside Photoshop CS5 with a look at something called Mini Bridge. Now, what the heck is Mini Bridge? Well, have you heard of the full Adobe Bridge? What Adobe Bridge is it's essentially a file management application that we can use. We can use it to organize our different types of files, and we can tag them with metadata, and we can add them to different collections and all kinds of cool stuff. Well, essentially what Mini Bridge is it takes the best features of Bridge and it compiles them all into a palette within Photoshop, which is kind of cool. And we'll take a look at the fully featured Bridge in just a little while, but I want to show you this thing called Mini Bridge. Now, to get started with Mini Bridge, what's kind of weird is even though it's a palette in Photoshop, it's not found underneath the window menu along with all of the other Photoshop palettes. He's actually found all the way over underneath the file menu. So head to your file menu and look for Browse in Mini Bridge. Go ahead and choose that guy. And then all of a sudden, the Mini Bridge panel is going to open up for you. Of course, you could also click on the Mini Bridge icon if you see him there over on the right-hand side. And what I'm going to do here, I've been messing around a little bit with my bridge. I'm just going to click on this home icon here, this little home button there right up at the top. This is probably what you're looking at right now. And what I want to do is I want to walk you through some of the settings that we can use first of all. So go ahead and click on settings there. And essentially what we can do here is we can set our Mini Bridge preferences, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Bridge Launching. Go ahead and click on that first guy. Now, if you want, you can read through all of this. We basically have two options here. If Bridge is not running, start Bridge automatically and resume browsing, or display the home page and don't start Bridge until the Browse File button is actually clicked. That's the default there. And then below that, we have when Mini Bridge opens Bridge, use an existing window or use a separate Bridge window. So it's really up to you if you want to actually mess around with some of these different settings. But I'm going to go back up to the top left corner. There's actually a little drop down arrow here, and I'm going to go back to settings, and that brings me back here. And then you also may want to check out the appearance preferences as well. And really all we can do here is we can set the interface brightness of the bridge or the Mini Bridge panel, and also the image backdrop setting there as well. So if you want to mess around with these guys, that's perfectly fine. But you know, I'm much more interested in showing you some of the different settings and options that we have while browsing images. So myself here, I'm going to click back on the home button here, and that brings us back here, and then click on Browse Files. Now, this is what I see here. I'm actually looking at our project files folder, which is sitting on my desktop. You might be looking at something slightly different, but don't worry about that for now. We'll actually get some graphics in here in just a little while that you can actually see. But what I will do is I'm just going to grab the sort of the left-hand side of my window here, and I can actually expand out or collapse down the size of the Mini Bridge panel. So maybe when you open up your Mini Bridge, you want to have a nice expanded view, something like this. Or maybe I'll collapse mine down just a little bit, you know, whatever you want, really. And of course, you can do the same as well vertically. I can increase or decrease the height of this panel as well. And you'll notice that this little navigation area here is going to move around depending on the size of our Mini Bridge panel. So again, it's really up to you how you want to set all this up. It's really sort of a personal preference, but maybe what I'll do is I'll crank mine out so that we can see what we actually have here. Now, there's lots to see inside the Mini Bridge interface. So, you know, what I'll do next is I'll give you a brief 5-cent tour of the Mini Bridge interface. And then after that, we'll get into some previewing inside Mini Bridge.